So I'm in the Solidatus UI at the moment, and as you can see, through this demo, we've got a typical sort of retail bank laid out here, and you can see from left to right, we've got different systems, on-premise, in cloud, EUCs, data lakes, all the way towards the risk reporting and reg reporting. Now, how Solidatus gets the metadata into Solidatus is a plethora of methods. We do promote automation first, as Robert mentioned. So we've got various out-the-box connectors we can utilize to pull in the metadata. Solidatus under the hood is a microservices type architecture. So it's all API calls, and we've got an open flexible API. We've also got an SDK. You can also import metadata. So there's various ways you can get metadata into Solidatus. And it just depends on the client, the customer's underlying data landscape as to which method we choose. Now we can see here the flows are all connected up via transitions. So you can actually see the flow of data and how it flows through all of your various systems, all the way down to your reg reporting. Now, Solidatus is a distributed architecture, which means it's not just one giant big bang approach. If you like, we've got the concept of submodels, which you use to build up into a master model. And these submodels may be split up by data domains or sort of different source systems or subject matter experts. But at the end of it, you'll get a master model, which you can slice and dice for the different user groups. And we've got a concept called views. And we can see here, if I just flick into a view, you can see here now, it actually brings the data flow, the metadata to life. We can see we've got certain controls in the data, things that aren't controlled. We've got systems that have no owners. We've got DQ rules in here. And depending on what metadata is pulled in, you can see here on the right-hand side that I've got different metadata pulled in. Now this metadata can get pulled in automatically at source, or you can put your own metadata in. And you can see if I scroll down, we've got some DQ metadata in there. Now, as Robert mentioned in that client use case, we integrated with Detectix, but we can integrate with the majority of DQ vendors. And what we do, and the value we add is we can pull in the data quality metrics. As you can see here, it can be a pass or a fail, or it can be a percentage. We can pull this data in, and what that helps us with is root cause analysis, finding out where the problem is, where it occurred, and also impact analysis. What regulatory reports are affected by that DQ problem? So if I look at this attribute here, amount, I can see at the flick of a button, it's coming from a system on-prem, it's going through a data lake, a data warehouse, and it is used in a market risk report. So if there was to be a DQ problem or issue on this, we can quite clearly find out the impact and the root cause analysis. Because once you've got a DQ problem, all you want to do is fix it. And also you can see here, because we're highlighting where the DQ fails are, whether DQ is good, again, you can prove to the regulator, your data is complete, accurate, and appropriate. So next, we've got a concept of, if you like, reference models. So it was mentioned that we can ingest regulations. And in this example, we've got BCBS 239 ingested into Solidatus as a reference model. And what we can do is we can overlay that regulation over the data estate, again, as a proof point to the regulator that we are doing what we're saying we're doing, and we've got the appropriate controls and ownership, data quality results in place. So what I can do is I can highlight an amount, and I can filter on there, and I can see amount is owned by Angus Young. It's not PII data, but it is a CDE, it is a critical data element. And also it pertains to principle 4 of BCBS 239. So we can do it at the attribute level, but what we can also do is, if I flick to another view here, what we can also do is have an actual view pertaining to BCBS 239. So I can now see all of my systems, my data elements, which ones are being governed by BCBS 239. And as you know, BCBS 239 is a principle-based regulation. So it's open for interpretation by the FSI. And once they've interpreted it, it's down to them to prove to the regulator that they are doing what they say they're doing. So I think from this screen here, you can quite clearly see what data has been controlled and what principles of BCBS 239 they adhere to, and also, are there any DQ failures? I mean, we can put as many tags on this, if you like, this dashboard as you want. And Robert mentioned earlier on that a Dutch client presented this to the Dutch regulator as a proof point. And what you can do here is you can share, if you like, this dashboard, and it's dynamic. So it'll update in real time. 239. And it provides you with this dynamic link, which you can email out. You've got a QR code, so you can scan a QR code here. So if you want to quickly give that QR code a scan, you can, and then it will give you a link to that model. And so the sharing of information, as you can imagine, it's quite important because not everybody wants to see everything. People may just want to see the data quality results. People may just want to see certain regulations. Although it's this BCBS 239, this could be MiFID, this could be market risk, credit risk, liquidity. The world's your oyster. And as you know, quite a lot of the regulations all interlink, and quite a lot of the regulations all use the similar data elements reporting or similar CDEs. And as I showed you before, we can actually overlay the CDEs as well. So here we can have a look at all of our CDEs. So I've got here, if you like, balance sheet amount, and I can show the usage. I can show you where balance sheet amount is. So if I'm a data governance steward, I know where my CDEs are. I know where they're going to, where they're coming from. I know which reg reports they're affecting. I can see that they're controlled. I can see which principles they adhere to. I can see the data quality. I can see that all through one pane of one window. I can see it all through. So once you've got your data lineage in, you can then take it to the next level and use it for all sorts of different things. Now the tool is quite collaborative. So if you want, I could raise a task in here. So I can create a task. So if you've got the data governance team are working together, I can raise a task. And I can assign it a user, and I'll assign it to me. And you can see here, once I've created the task, it goes into my my task queue, my activities queue. And this allows collaboration between the users. And this can also be connected up to SMTP as well. Once it's connected up to SMTP, you can do it via email. So it's got that collaborative workflow in there. Also, we've got GDPR. So if I go here to another view here, we can see the PII dashboard here. And what that's showing me is where all my PII data is, where it's masked, where it's missing. And this is going to help with the right to be forgotten, the right for information, and just proving you've got control over your data estate. Because with Solidatus, I mean, what you can do is, although we only ingest metadata, you can highlight certain sort of groups of data, maybe in the data lake, and through looking at the properties in the data lake, you can see the date timestamp. When was it last used? Are there any downward transitions? Are any reports using that information in the data lake? And therefore you can spot redundant data within the data lake. Because I think holding data now is becoming more of a risk than a help. What we also have in Solidatus is versioning. So every time I save a model in Solidatus, it creates a revision. And you're going to say, so what? But the most important factor is it's a proof point to the regulator that when you've made the changes, so you can see here, I've added some BCBS 239 changes. And what we can do is I can view the revisions. I can compare this year's report with last year's, and also I can do rollbacks, or also I can roll forward. I can do as if scenarios. So it's quite powerful, the actual the revision. So if I click in here, what this is going to show me, it's going to show me the change that's been made. So here you can see I've got one change, and what it's telling me is I've added a query in there. But you can see here, it will show you, have you added anything? Have you edited anything, deleted or moved? And you can see it just gives you that change control. And again, that proof point to the regulator that you're in control of what you're doing, and you're actually dealing with regulatory change, and you've dealt with it on this certain date because you've got the revisions saved. Next, I'm going to go into the reference model. So again, what this helps you with, I mean, this is the actual reference model that you saw on the right-hand side of the Solidatus screen, but this is another view, and this allows you to keep track of your CDEs. And you can see here, it's got a history again of change of that CDE, and it's got a description of what it is, and also the ownerships and where that CDE is being used, where that term's being used in other models you've created. And you can see here, you know, it's been used in Solvency II as well. And again, it gives the data stewards that clear understanding of what a annuity factor is. It just gives a clear description, and that's available for everyone to view. And again, we've got for the data steward collaboration, we've got a search, so I can search on any term I want. If I don't know where if I don't know where that is in a model, I can do a global search. So I'm going to do a global search here. Let's come up with some results. So it's like a Google-like search, and you can see here it's going to come up with the results of annuity factor. Yeah, so that's going to come up with the actual annuity factor. So you can see the tool is quite powerful. Not only can you pull in just pull in the data lineage, it's how you can slice and dice it and what you can do with it. And by overlaying the regulations over the data estate, I think that's very, very powerful. And also it just proves you've got that embedded risk governance within your organization, and you can prove that you're doing what you're saying you're doing.